Well, SABC News Correspondent Blake Sifton is live for us from Tel Aviv. Blake, a very good afternoon to you. Just give us the latest, I would imagine, in terms also with regards to the reaction from world leaders as well as the United Nations. As we've heard, the Security Council expected to be holding that meeting today around this particular situation. What has been happening in the past few hours?
Good afternoon. The latest on this attack is we understand that 10 missiles were fired from outside of Qatar's airspace at the building where the leaders of Hamas were meeting. Of course, Hamas has said that none of the leaders were killed, but that 5 lower-ranking members of Hamas were killed. Officially, the Israeli government still says that they are determining the results of the attack, meaning who was killed or not. But in the press here, there's widespread reports that the Israeli military did fail to assassinate the targets they were going for. We understand that also that many of the leaders who attended that meeting had only gone to Qatar in recent days. They were normally based in Turkey, which is another safe haven country where many leaders of Hamas are based. Now, as you said, international condemnation of this move, of this strike against Hamas in Qatar has been swift and forceful. We've heard from the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We've heard from Japan, from France, from the UK, from Canada, Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, even ally Germany, Israeli ally Germany has condemned this attack. As you say, President Trump said that he was not thrilled about how it went down, but he did not condemn the attack. And he said that killing members of Hamas was a worthy goal. So we're sure to see some pretty outraged reaction when the UN Security Council meets on this subject later this afternoon, local time in New York.
And what is the position of Qatar, given too that, Qatar was tasked essentially to hold these peace meetings between the two sides to see if they can broker some sort of a ceasefire in Gaza? I mean, it does put them at a very difficult position, particularly when you listen to officials, U.S. officials saying that, in fact, Qatar was warned before these attacks happened. Qatar saying they only found out 10 minutes after the attacks.
Yes, I'll address that last part first. Yes, the U.S. says they warned Qatar. The chain of events, as far as we understand them, is that not long before the attack began, the Israeli military informed the American military informed the Trump administration. The Trump administration then tried to inform the Qataris, but as you say, the Qataris say that when they answered that call, the explosions were already sounding. So it does not appear that they received much warning. They are very upset by this. They've called it a cowardly act, a violation of international law, a violation of international standards, essentially, and of their sovereignty. Now, when it comes to their role in the ceasefire process, this attack has been massively damaging to prospects for a ceasefire and a hostage release deal, and really in 2 ways. The first of which is that it struck Hamas's main negotiating team while they were meeting to discuss a ceasefire proposal that President Trump himself had put forth. So whether that negotiating team will feel safe enough to reconvene in any kind of format again to review future ceasefire proposals if we get to that point, that remains to be seen. And of course, Qatar, along with Egypt, is one of the main mediators, and they've been completely responsible for any successful ceasefire negotiations thus far in the 23 months of this war. 130 Israeli hostages have been freed in 2 previous ceasefires, and Qatar was instrumental in making those happen. And of course, also Israeli delegations, including leaders of the Shin Bet, leaders of Mossad, Israeli military leaders have traveled to Qatar and have participated in round after round after round of talks that Qatar has held. So Qatar may very well withdraw from that role as mediator. They haven't announced anything like that yet, but there is speculation that they may take that step in response to this attack, and that would leave Israel without one of the 2 main mediators they've been relying on to negotiate with Hamas, to try to reach a ceasefire, and to try to get the hostages released. And we also need to remember that according to Hamas, one of the members who was killed was the son of their chief negotiator. So whether that makes him less willing to make concessions or make him harder harden his stance in future negotiations also remains to be seen. Certainly the family members of the hostages here in Israel have reacted with shock and outrage to this development. The mother of one of the young men held captive in Gaza has said that in deciding to strike Hamas in Qatar, Prime Minister Netanyahu essentially was deciding to kill her son because she feels that the likelihood of a ceasefire and hostage release deal is now completely remote.
Absolutely. So many dimensions to this story and, of course, implications. Blake, thank you so much for that update. Blake Sifton, live for us from Tel Aviv there as we monitor the situation in the Middle East, particularly in Qatar.